The tactics were very, very strange because Benavidez is known.
You said about him being on the ropes a lot. He was on the ropes a lot. I totally agree.
I know it's disrespectful, but I was fancying the chances, do you know what I mean?
They were expecting two guys to meet in the middle of the ring and have a shootout.
You can name the people that he's lost to. Name me 3 people he's beat. Yarde needs to get away from Tundi and the team and the set up there as quick as he can.
I know that Anthony Joshua himself is just looking to reinvent himself again.
Does he have to knock out Jake Paul in the first round
100%.
to be able to come out of any credit?
100%, he's got to. And if he don't, everyone's going to say it's a fix.
If Anthony Joshua was to lose to Jake Paul, it would be the biggest upset, travesty, whatever you want to call it, in boxing history.
I didn't think I'd get banned. I couldn't see the picture. I always, as a kid, dreamed I'm going to be this champion, and that just put a big works in the middle. I've had to watch all this, so I've become bulletproof.
Welcome to episode 148 of Talk Boxing with Simon Jordan, Spencer Oliver and Paul Smith. Joining us today is the British light heavyweight Liam Cameron, fresh off the back of a good victory. Nice to see you, Liam. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let's go to the main event of the week last weekend, which I think is fair to say we're all looking forward to, which is the Benavidez versus Anthony Yarde fight. Before we get into Anthony Yarde's performance, or lack of it, let's dissect David Benavidez.
Listen, it was a great performance from Benavidez. He done what he had to do. He took centre of the ring. He was throwing his shots in punches in bunches and done what he had to do. He slowly, systematically broke Anthony Yarde down. You know, I think it was a first-class performance. He was looking for his first stoppage as a light heavyweight, and he got it against Anthony Yarde. You know, I think it was a top performance.
Your weight class, Liam, when you look at Benavidez, I mean, obviously he went in with a reputation of a super middleweight, gone up to light heavyweight. The reputation carried forward, but not the knockouts that we'd seen in the super middleweight. But we saw a performance on Saturday night that perhaps reinforces the point of view about him being the Mexican monster. How impressed were you by what you saw?
They were unbelievable. Punches in bunches like a lightweight. But I think it was competitive for 2 rounds until Yarde realised he couldn't win. And tables turned.
I mean, we saw a particular set of clips that showed Benavidez hitting Anthony Yarde unreplied, I suspect, by 18 left hands. Do you think that the referee was right jumping in when he did, Paul?
Absolutely nothing wrong with it. And I've said this on social media. Benavidez's hand is flat on the shoulder of Yarde as he's hitting him. Yarde is holding him. So he's hitting with his free hand, and Yarde is holding the hand and won't let the hand go. So he wasn't holding and hitting. The hand wasn't on the neck that way. It was there resting on its side. The referee was right on that occasion. I think he was wrong on the knockdown, hitting him with his hand, which we'll get to a little bit later on. But I think the referee was well within his rights to let it go on, and I haven't heard many people who are boxers or who know the rules technically push back against it. But a lot of people who've never been in the ring, I saw a few commentators on the zone, this watch along group, shouting it was a terrible decision, or like the referees let him illegally hit him. It's not illegal; it's perfectly legal. It
was perfectly legal. I think the referee's job there and where he was slow in this situation was the referee should have, he saw that he was holding the hand. That's his job that's his cue to jump in, call break, and the referee didn't do it. So it's weak reffing.
You're
really.
Right. Yeah, you're right what you're saying. But if he's jumping in, the referee, he's going to warn Yarde for holding, not him for hitting. Holding and hitting. It's Yarde that's at fault in that combination.
You got any view on that, Liam?
It just looked a bit rough.
He just basically went in there and he did his job, didn't he? I thought. Yarde didn't know how to angle a nosebleed as well, looking at it. Listen, I've got massive respect for Yarde. I applaud him. But it's rubbing your nose and that, and I just felt sorry for him in there.
Well, we'll get to Yarde's performance in a minute and some of the things that Tundi has said elsewhere. But I wanted to go back to you, Paul, about seeing the performance from Benavidez. Obviously, we've all got a lot of regard for Benavidez. We all think in the back of our minds that Canelo has ducked fighting Benavidez. We all think that Benavidez at super middleweight was an impressive force to be reckoned with and didn't probably get the opportunity he deserved. He certainly thinks that, and he's certainly got a lot of vitriol towards Canelo. The debate was, does he translate at light heavyweight? You had 2 points decisions that suggested that he perhaps didn't carry the power. We saw more of what we previously had seen in a different weight class. When you look at Benavidez now against Anthony Yarde, how do you see him translating if he were to fight Beterbiev or Bivol? He's
got really fast hands. He throws a lot of punches in bunches, as the saying goes, and he works at a good pace. That obviously, like Bivol, is not the right type of fighter for someone like Canelo to fight. I think he He may have avoided him, he probably has avoided him, we see that, but he's probably just thinking business-wise, and that's a fight that he could probably do without. I think he bit off more than he could chew, Canelo, with Bivol, but I think Benavidez against Bivol or Beterbiev will hold his own and won't look out of place. I think the power is there, it's just, it's probably taken a little while to grow into. I heard him say after the fight he's going to go up to cruiserweight to fight.
He did,
against
but Ramirez, yeah.
So
I saw that.
I'm not too sure on that one, but listen to his career, he's in charge of it and do what he wants.
But let's say that, because Zota Ramirez seems to be playing hide and seek with himself, not fighting Jai Opetaia, which is the logical fight in the cruiserweights, rather than allowing this fella to come. Okay, there's a Mexican element to it.
No one wants to, do they?
No, and that's probably the reasons why Canelo actually didn't want to fight him, because of the Mexican element side of things and being dethroned as the Mexican hero. When you look at Benavidez, let's just say, for the purpose of this conversation, he doesn't go up to cruiserweight because they can't make the Ramirez fight, despite the protestations that they can, and it lands in the space with your brother. You know, Morel, who your brother's fighting, fought Benavidez and gave him some difficulties in that fight. How do you look at the fight? Say that I would expect Callum to come past Morel and want him to, obviously for obvious reasons. When you look at the Benavidez performance against Anthony Yarde and you look at your brother, how did your brother beat him?
Anyone that knows Callum knows how good the counter-puncher he is. He knows how good he is up close, and they know how good he is at distance as well.
Does.
A lot of fighters tend to think, because he's 6'3.5", nearly 6'4", just get close, get your head on his chest and you're safe, and that's where he wants you, and that's what makes him good, obviously. I was writing a few notes down on the train on the way down, watching Yarde and Benavidez, because I knew we were talking about it, and there's a stage in the fight in round 5 or 6, Benavidez is teeing off on Yarde, but he's teeing off for big singles, and there's not a single counter coming back from Anthony Yarde, and them type of counters, them type of single shots to throw them at Callum will be dangerous. But it's not just counter him and that's how you beat him. Obviously, Callum's got a well better jab than what Anthony Yarde was showing on Saturday night. Benavidez has a good jab, he throws with a lot of power. The same, but that it makes you open to be countered as well. But it's going to be a thinking fight, but then I think it will catch fire. I think it would catch fire. Callum and Benavidez have always been very respectful of each other as well. Yeah. They've always spoken really respectful of each other. They've always spoken in the sense that we're probably going to fight. You know, it's destined to happen one day, and I do think it will happen one day, and it'll be a great fight. And obviously, I'm very, very biased towards him, a little favouritism towards him, but it's a great fight on paper. And I think that's the thing with Benavidez now. I think he can only either fight Bivol, Beterbiev, Callum, or maybe a cruiserweight.
Yeah. Let's turn our attention to Anthony Yarde, and let's turn our attention to some of the things that Tunde was saying. I've seen an interview, heard an interview where Tunde talked to Steve Bunce on the BBC, where he talked about coming on strong in the second half of the fight, which I have to be honest with you, I find perplexing, because I would have thought, and I'm going to bow to the greater knowledge, as always, that the object of the aim was to start fast, put a dent in Benavidez, give him something to think about. And it seemed to be the polar opposite. It seemed to be counter what Benavidez was doing by stopping him, by every now and again throwing him back to stop him throwing punches and bunches. But Anthony never did anything in this fight. No,
it was ludicrous, you know, to say that you're going to come on in the second half of the fight, because anyone that knows Benavidez is that guy, you know, that technically he's very good. He has a high output. And that's what, you know, that's
it's also the polar opposite of what Anthony does.
That's one of his big assets. But Anthony Yarde, he likes to counter punch. He was counter punching with single shots, spending way too much time on the ropes. You can't do that with a fighter like Benavidez, who's he's not one dimensional. He throws shots from good angles. He whips in the uppercuts, and that's what he'd done with Yarde. Like, after 4 or 5 rounds, Yarde had a great 6th round, by the way, but he'd thrown everything in there then, and in the 7th round, obviously Benavidez turned it around again. It was like Yarde's last throw of the dice.
He had a great 6th round, but the last minute of the round,
yeah, absolutely.
Benavidez upped it again.
That's absolutely.
Spence, the 7th round, though, you watch it back, you listen yourself, you can hear the effort that Yarde's put into the shots. It's okay saying come on strong in the second half of the fight. Based on what? What have we ever seen in the past? His track record is doing 5 or 6 rounds, then
exactly,
and having not left, and that was the same again. So
that's why I'm saying it's strange to have that.
So what's the thinking here?
He's lost against Kovalev, and he's lost against Beterbiev. You go, that's when he seemed to have blown the gasket, like putting everything into the first half of that fight. So it was like the tactics were very, very strange, because Benavidez is known.
You said about him being on the ropes a lot. He was on the ropes a lot. I totally agree. I don't think it was by choice. I think he was getting forced back there. So therefore,
I mean, the commentary, and I was listening to the commentary.
Doesn't make sense.
I mean, obviously there was a thought process that Anthony Yarde was boxing a clever fight, getting himself into the fight. He was competitive in each round. He wasn't getting done in each round, but he wasn't winning the rounds. When you looked at the fight, Liam, were you curious to see what Anthony... I mean, you've got to have a view of Anthony Yarde. We've all got a view, which is Anthony Yarde can bang with the best of them and goes out fast and hard. And watching him fight the way he did on Saturday night, were you surprised to see what you were seeing?
I thought it was going to be a dogfight.
So did I.
I thought it's going to be a brilliant fight. Mexican monster versus Yarde. Yarde can punch. and he come out tip-tappy tactics, moving his feet. It was like he knew he couldn't go distance, so he was saving all the energy up for the later rounds.
But do you know,
I didn't see no effort, like, I didn't see no
Would you fancy Yarde after watching him in that fight?
I know it's disrespectful, but I was fancying my chances, do you know what I mean?
But do you know
You're
the
in the same
tactics,
weight as him, mate.
the tactics that Anthony Yarde had against Artur Beterbiev were the tactics he should have applied there,
well,
where he
exactly.
went out
But look,
and he
there's
let
an
the shots
there's an
go.
old saying, Spencer, if you want to win a fight late and you want to come on strong late in a fight, you have to make
Do
him
some
work
damage.
early.
Mm.
You've got to
Do
make
some
him work
damage.
early. If that was making Benavidez work early, then by round 7, with all due respect, he was absolutely done and blowing
But
and
what
gone.
is the thinking? I mean, even the music when he came out to the soundtrack from Legend, where, you know, I'm coming here for a shootout.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that's the Tom Hardy film, you know, and that was what everyone was expecting. They were expecting two guys to meet in the middle of the ring and have a shootout in terms of it. He did the polar opposite. I mean, is this? I mean, Tunde said something to him in the 5th round. I know we can't get into the minds of what was being said, but we can get some sort of conclusion from people that know what they're talking about. You know, he's asked Anthony, you know what you're doing, right? You got this, right?
Yeah.
And Anthony's going, yeah, I've got this. What did that mean?
For me, he got bullied, and if you're going to come on strong and win a fight in the latter half of the fight, in the second half of the fight, so from round 7 to 12, you've got to win a couple of them first rounds anyway.
Absolutely.
But you've definitely got to make him work, and he made Benavidez work because Benavidez was allowed to tee off sometimes on the ropes when he's standing with his back on the ropes, and it was not comfortable for Benavidez because he worked hard for it, but he made it look a bit more comfortable than it actually was. Now, I think what the 6th round was, to me, it looked like a last hurrah. And you see that in fighters, and they come out and think, I'm going here, so I'm going to make sure I just give it. And it looked to me like a last hurrah in the round 6. In round 7, he was done. I thought the corner should have stopped him. I thought the cut work on the nose was... I said this time and again, it's difficult to say without sounding too disrespectful. Anthony Yarde has been let down by the team around him throughout his career, and he could have done better and he deserved a bit better. And I think he's going to look back.
What do you mean by that?
The corner work on the cut.
Right.
He's got his nose is pouring with blood. Bad. It was a bad bleed on it. You've had them yourself. You know what they're like. Every time my nose used to go, I bleed through my nose. So when my nose go, I was knackered. But my nose would go, and straight away you get an adrenaline swab shoved up it. There wasn't one single swab put up his nose in the corner, and Tunde's just wiping his face. Let the cutman do the job. Let the cutman get the nose and stem the blood flow from the nose so you can stand up. At least it's not pouring. He stands up at the start of the round and he's wiping the blood, what's pouring.
No adrenaline.
Right down. No adrenaline put up his nose, nothing. That's the first bit. Secondly, the tactics. I just don't agree with the tactics at all.
We've also got to address, you know, what was being said in that round before they went out in the 7th.
That's
where,
what I mean.
You know, he'd had a bad last minute of that 6th round, and you're going, right, now the instructions have got to be, you got to pick this kid up now. You got to give him, you know, you're his trainer, you know exactly how he's feeling. If he needs that kick up the arse that you need to tell him. But just saying, like, you know,
don't let him throw.
There was nothing constructive around what was being said.
Don't let him throw 12 punches without answering back.
Yeah,
come on. This is a big fight on a big stage.
I'm going to let you have a swing at this. I mean, is it time? He's had 3 shots now, and each time that he's gone in, his reputation has been enhanced by being a gallant loser. You know, against Kovalev, he went in, he could have won that fight. People put it down to naivety. Against Beterbiev, he was commendable for 6 rounds because Beterbiev is a monster, and he lost and got more credibility out of it. In this fight, I don't think he comes out with a lot of credibility. I think people are surprised by how passive Anthony Yarde appeared to be in what was his probably last tilt of a world title opportunity. Is it time for him to change Tunde, do you think? Tunde's quite noisy, has a lot to say for himself, and he's very bold in what he says, and he's had a few swipes at you and your brother. Is a lot of this on Tunde in terms of where this fight went and why it went the way it did?
Honestly, it's going to be difficult to say without sounding like I'm just hating on Tunde. I said to you in the past, I'm sure I'll have a cup of tea with Tunde one day, and I'm sure deep down he's a good person, and people that I speak to tell me he is, and I know I am. Tactically, on the night, with the fight, the whole setup, the whole training regime, Anthony Yarde's being told he's doing great. He's been told he's a lion. He's been told he's a warrior. He's been told nonsense, and he's getting in there, and they're not telling him how the fight's going. Now, the fight should have got stopped, in my opinion, about 20 seconds earlier than it did by the corner. He hadn't really won a round. He hadn't really done that well. He's on the wrong end of a beating, and he looked done again. But the fact that he looked done after just 6 rounds is the same pattern that's happened in the previous fights, and that's a concern. Now, my brother Callum said this about Yarde, and it's not meant to be in a disrespectful way. You can name the people that he's lost to. Name me 3 people he's beat. That's the difficult thing. When he either boxes up there or there. Now, Lindenarter's in the middle. Lindenarter's a European champion and a good fighter, and he beat him and he lost to him as well. But apart from that, the gap is.
I mean, his performance against
huge.
Lindenhoff in the second fight was impressive.
Good,
Really
very
impressive.
good, and he
Third
beats a
fight was
good
difficult
fighter in
fight.
Linden, yeah.
Absolutely. How does he? I mean, he's now. I think he's not going to get another world title shot, Liam. I think that's done. I think he's had 3. In most things in life, you're 3 and out, right? How does he rebuild? I mean, there are other fights out there for him potentially. Josh Boetzy, I'm sure you'd like to throw your name in the ring as well. I could mention Callum, but I think Callum's up and away. How does he rebuild himself now, or do you think he will?
You've got to make an excuse, haven't you? And you've got to somehow blame the trainer and say, look, I'm going to do it right now. I've heard of people saying, move trainers, I'm going to give that a go. I don't think it's over for him, because, like, I thought it were over for me in my boxing career. If I didn't get another go, I wouldn't be where I am today. So, like, nothing's over.
I just don't think he was good enough. There's no shame in that.
No.
He just weren't good enough at that
I
level.
agree. I don't think he looks old.
And
I don't think he looks
it. Just weren't good enough.
Can he go up to cruiserweight and nick something up there?
No,
No,
I think I think the fight is the fight that should have happened maybe 5 or 6 years ago with Joshua Boetzy, and that's still.
But that's a money fight, isn't it? That's not. A
Yeah,
belt
no.
fight,
But
is
what
it?
I'm saying is, you're asking where he goes next. If you're going to go right, if you're looking at, let's see what we got left in the tank. Let's have a rebuild. You go Joshua Boetzy's, you know, that they're at that sort of level where the winner can kick on, and you go at this stage of the career, and I think that's the ideal, the logical fight to make.
Yeah.
I said years ago, Simon, I said years ago, it's all on record, Anthony Yarde needs to get away from Tundi and the team and the setup there as quick as he can, because he's the best in that gym. He's the best around there. Now, you want to be a champion, you want to be a world champion, go and train with people who've won world titles, or work with people who are on that level. And if you're the best in the gym, change gyms. I've always said this, if you're the smartest in the room, change rooms. And you know that more than anyone.
Absolutely.
I said this years ago. Now, if he does finally decide, he should have done it years ago, but if he does finally decide to go and do it and make the change, he was number 4 in the Ring Magazine rankings going into that fight. He's certainly not like right down at the bottom of the pecking order. He is probably just one win away from being back in the mix, so to speak.
Talking about a lot of noise, we were obviously discussing at length the announcement that we've now got Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. When you heard that announcement, Liam, what was your reaction to the fight? What's your reaction to it full stop?
I'm buzzing with it, because if you hate Jake Paul, you're going to see him get knocked out in the second round. But if you love Joshua, you want him to have an easy fight, do you know what I mean? Back to back, he's fought loads of champions. I think he's changed British boxing, and I hope he does collect that easy money.
I mean, Anthony talked about in the presser a lot of things. There was a lot of interesting stuff that came out of that presser. One of them, that Ben Davidson wasn't going to be training him. 2, that he was looking at other fights past Jake Paul, and then he quickly talked about the fact that that was good promotional stuff rather than necessarily looking past Jake Paul. He came up with the announcement, I think I'm right in saying this, that he's going to be at 225.
245.
245.
245.
But again, there's no rehydration.
No rehydration clause. 245. That was the last time that he boxed Alexander Usyk, which was back in, 2022. I believe he weighed 245. He was in training camp anyway. He was going to be fighting on the undercard of this fight on Saturday night with Devin Haney. He was going to be fighting on that undercard, 22nd. So he's in shape. His weight's down anyway. So making 245, actually...
He has to be that done.
Yeah, but that's his best weight anyway, Anthony Joshua. That's where he's more athletic. You know, he's got more movement and whatnot. And no disrespect to Jake Paul here. You go, like, you know, without looking past Jake Paul, but he could look past Jake Paul, because, you know, when you're talking about comparisons, these two guys are worlds apart. You have to respect Jake Paul for stepping up to the plate and actually going through with this fight, because I'm still trying to give my head a wobble on this whole situation. Going, what are you actually doing?
I respect Jake Paul for what he's done. I never thought that you'd talk like this about boxing, but we do. I respect Jake Paul because he's come over to another industry. He's made the other industry make him a lot of money.
Absolutely.
And he's actually helping a lot of female fighters and women boxing as well by putting his promotion on. So I respect him massively. But if Anthony Joshua was to lose to Jake Paul, it would be the biggest upset, travesty, whatever you want to call it, in boxing history. So he has to look past Jake Paul.
Well, let's hear from Anthony talking to the media in Miami. One of the questions that was put to him was about his lengthy stint outside of the ring.
So I took 12 months out of the game, realigned my vision board, and consolidated a lot of things, trimmed down my team, and I said I need 12 months to do that. So I took 12 months out of the game. We was moving at 100 miles an hour with my blinkers on. So then I took my blinkers off, looked at the landscape, and I just changed a lot of things in my life. It took a bit of time, but I said I need 12 months, and now we're here. So 12 months out of the game, and from September 21st, if you think about it back then, to now, December, that's 3 months. So most people take about 8 to 12 weeks to prepare for a fight. So this was like a preparation for a fight, basically. So this will be my first prep and fight in December. So no, I won't be trained by Ben Davison. I said that London's a bit distracting for me. So I was invited to train with Team Usyk. So I've been in Spain. We've been doing some good training out in Spain. And I think he's one of the best in the world. Not I think, he is one of the best in the world. And it's not all down to him, it's also down to his team that's around him. So I linked up with them, and getting an insight to how someone who's achieved so much has been phenomenal, man. It's been a great experience and it's very challenging.
Wow, I did not know that. So who will be your head trainer on the night?
Igor.
Okay. And how long have you been with them?
A couple months now.
Paul, there was a lot of things said there by Anthony Joshua that I was listening to about parting ways with Ben Davison, about being distracted by having to train in London, about trimming down his business. He used an expression called vision board, which means he's got business advisors in his ear, probably with their hands in his pockets as well, because he's a cash cow. When you listen to all of that background noise, trimming down his backroom staff, looking at other businesses, re-evaluating his opportunities, looking at his vision board for his future, what do you read into that for Anthony Joshua?
Again, probably a little bit what I was saying there. I don't know a lot of Anthony Joshua's business. I say what I see, and the people that I know in his business.
Oh, he's got a lot of money, so he'll have a lot of assets around him.
Yeah, of course, and the people that I know in
managing.
his businesses are usually his friends and family from the boxing side, and I like them all. I get on with them well. At 258, he's got a good management company. But I've always said the training setups with Joshua, there's so many people around there. There was a video analysis, a man on a laptop. It's like, I don't think you need as much as he had around him. And if he has a good relationship with a boxing trainer who's got a good team as well, then it'll be the best thing that he can probably do, beneficial. Take himself away from all the imagine his life. You know, listen, you've probably had a life similar to that, but imagine his life every day. He probably doesn't get a minute constantly with the amount of stuff he has to do with his businesses. The boxing will probably sometimes be secondary, and it has to be primary. And if boxing is primary and he gives 100%, he can get someone to run everything in the background, we will see a better Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
And I think it's just whether it's too long in the tooth at the moment or too late in the day for that to happen. That's the issue. And I think if it isn't, we'll see the best of Anthony Joshua. Being over there, training with that team, training with a team, a total different setup, might be the best thing that
Does that
might happen to
resonate
him.
with you, Spence? The idea that he's got too many distractions in London, and combined with now another change of trainer.
Yeah.
Is this a change of trainer? You know.
Yeah, change of trainer.
Team,
AJ. Totally different setup. You know, I think Ben Davison.
Full stop. Is that relationship now run its course?
Yeah, Ben Davison has done a great job with him. He's moved on now. He feels it's time to move on.
He does, or Anthony does?
Anthony does. Anthony's decided that it's time to move on. He's gone out there.
Do you think that's on the back of the manner in which, I mean, there was a lot of criticism that Ben pushed back against, and came in and explained the roll the dice sentiment and the structure of the fight against Daniel Dubois. Do you think this produces an outcome for Anthony that's going to be beneficial? Because you've got to have some relationship that's got some continuity attached to it, isn't it? You can't keep changing trainers.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And I think for Anthony Joshua, he's always done that. Historically, he's always done it. And I think that he's just looking to reinvent himself again. He knows it's now one last roll of the dice. And he's gone to the guy that actually beat him. He's gone to that team. Like, they're very military out there, Simon. You know, Team Alexander Usyk, that whole team. No, but I'm saying they're very military in what they do. And he's feeling like he needs something, you know, new, something fresh. Get away from the distractions of home.
This change of trainer, you know, whether it be from Rob McCracken to whoever, the other fellow that came in, the American guy that came in that was a very aggressive trainer, onto Angel Fernandez,
yep.
onto Ben Davison.
Yep.
Is this not illustrating the sort of personality crisis or crisis of confidence that Anthony Joshua often has about making his mind up about what he should be doing, what he could be doing? I've heard stories, and we've heard this story.
Yep.
Joe McGuigan told me about how he came into the room when he was fighting whoever it was, when I think Lawrence Okolie was getting his hands wrapped and saying, "How do you think I should fight this fight?" And this was about 5 minutes before he's due out there to go and fight it. Is this symptomatic of an endless seeming challenge, perhaps psychologically, that Anthony has in his own mind?
Look, it's not new to me. So he's always done it. He's done it, you know, he's done it from when he was an amateur as well. He trained around a lot of the amateur gyms, although he boxed for Finchley. So it's nothing new to me. So it's not a surprise to me saying, oh, look, what's he still searching for? That's just the way the guy is. He's always done that. So, Yeah, it's difficult to comment. I know that Anthony Joshua himself is just looking to reinvent himself again. You know, he's had to go soul-searching after that defeat against Daniel Dubois. That was a tough defeat, a tough pill to swallow. And he feels that, you know, going out there training with Team Usyk, you know, Igor in particular, is going to be beneficial to him. So, you know...
He doesn't need that for fighting Jake Paul, does he?
No, but I think I think that's the long-term goal.
This is the prequel.
When he's road back to world title shots, not just for the Jake Paul fight.
When you hear, Liam, Jake Paul says, "I'm ready to die in there," and then you hear Anthony giving the line, "I'm going to break his face and break his body up and stomp all over him," does that produce any element of concern? I know you're a fighter, so it's not about concern, but the sport of boxing potentially has some risk in this, in terms of Jake Paul making that kind of statement. I know we've heard Deontay Wilder in the past say, I want a body in my record. But when you've got someone like Jake Paul, who we accept has done great things for himself and potentially shone a great light on boxing as well, but he's coming up against a former two-time heavyweight champion of the world who's physically still at his peak. We question Anthony's psychology, not necessarily his physicality. Do those sort of statements about "I'm ready to die in there and I'm going to bash you up and stomp all over you" give you any cause for concern about the sport?
He's a YouTuber, isn't he? So like they want them views. His life's been about views, and taking this fight with Joshua is views for him. So even if he loses in first round, he can always say I've been in with Joshua.
Yeah.
So he's at a win-win. It's Anthony Joshua what's under pressure. He's got to knock him out fast.
Well, that's my next question. How does Anthony come out of this fight with any... Does he need to come out of any form of credit, and how does he come out with any credit? Is it simply kind of what he did to Ngannou, which I think was absolutely fundamental, because Tyson Fury had dragged boxing into a space where MMA was going, you guys ain't got it, you don't know what you're all about, MMA fighters have got more balls than you guys, and it needed Anthony Joshua to go and do to Ngannou what he did, because Tyson Fury hadn't done it. Does he have to knock out Jake Paul in the first round
100%.
to be able to come out of any credit?
100%, he's got to. And if he don't, everyone's going to say it's a fix. I've already heard it on the internet. But I don't know, it's a risky one. It's just going to be an easy sparring match. Easy. I'd fight Jake Paul, never mind that, Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
I'd fancy my chances. Do you know what I mean? Easy.
Yeah. I want to move us on to an event that I think most of us were very surprised with, or a circumstance most of us were very surprised with, and obviously now percolating over, which is Joseph Parker testing positive for cocaine. Now, this is a subject you're well versed on, or were well versed on, in terms of testing positive for cocaine and the ramifications of it. You went through it back in 2018. There's no judgment in any of this conversation, Liam, because it's not my job to judge people. But how difficult was that ordeal for you? I mean, obviously, being a professional fighter and taking cocaine at the time are two things that don't necessarily correlate, so you must have been in a certain state of mind in your own life. But how difficult an ordeal was it for you once you tested positive and the ramifications started to become made for some of you to be aware of?
It were hard, it were really hard. I remember it. I were in bed, big letter, pages come through, and it weren't cocaine, it's this benzalocyanine. People are thinking that cocaine only stays in your system for 4 days and it's gone. It's not. It's in your system for months. This benzalocyanine is a drug what your liver creates to get rid of hardcore drugs, and this stays in your system for months. So
it could have been any form of drug then. Like, I know that cocaine is what it's obviously...
That's the worst case scenario, cocaine. So only what these have told me, I could have either have took it loads way before me testing, even at a competition or fight week. That's what options were.
But this is, I mean, I don't want to pry into your personal circumstances unless you want to answer it yourself. But taking cocaine is not an opportunity to enhance your boxing skills, is it?
No.
It's something else that's going on in your life that causes you to want to be involved in a situation where you're taking drugs. That's something different, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's no material advantage to taking cocaine as a fighter, is there? This is something else that's happening in your life that was taking you from being a boxer, because ultimately being a boxer is your primary function, to being someone that's taking drugs. And I wanted to ask you, or taking drugs at that time, I wanted to ask you, Paul, about the issues of the consequences of it. You got a 4-year ban, didn't you, Liam?
Yeah.
And you got a 4-year ban because you didn't cough to it initially. And
Lasted 5 years because obviously they wanted me to admit it.
Just out of curiosity, why didn't you?
Because I didn't think I'd get banned. I
Right.
didn't think I couldn't see the picture. I always, as a kid, dreamed I'm going to be this champion, and that just put a big works in the middle for me. So, like, I can't admit it. How's anyone going to come and support me?
You're
And
probably
I'm
right in thinking you weren't going to get banned, because not many people do nowadays, did he?
Yeah.
Well, that leads me to the question, Paul, because I know you'll be quite strong on this viewpoint, given your thoughts about what boxing should and shouldn't do, and the way that you think boxing should be constructed with your idea of a union and all this sort of stuff, and looking after fighters and the well-being of fighters and making the industry operate at high standards. Do you think fighters for recreational drugs should be facing bans and significant bans?
Not if it's out of competition, no. No, this is the thing. I'm against cocaine. I've never done it in my life. When I was fighting, I never took it.
But it's a lifestyle choice, isn't it?
Single recreational drug when I was fighting, or performance-enhancing drug. But if you're taking... There's a lot of fighters in the US now, MMA fighters, and MMA seem to be ahead of the curve on this. They don't test for cannabis no more. They use the healing benefits of cannabis and THC and CBD especially, but THC, the psychoactive part of it, which heals a lot of inflammation and everything else. So it's legalized over there. So fighters are using it while they're training to help them with the recovery. But in competition, when the test comes, if you've been taking cocaine, which I don't agree with, but fighters have done it. I've known fighters that have done it. It's one of them things. It's unfortunate it's happened. But if you're taking that after a fight and then a month or 2, 3 months later when you get back in camp, you're getting tested and then metabolites or whatever it is still in your system. I don't agree with that really. And then especially if you're getting a 4-year ban when someone is notedly, obviously taking steroids, they fail a test, but they're fighting again 6 months later. That's where it just doesn't sit right with me. It's got to be one rule for all. And recreationally, I can't tell a fighter what to do in the spare time. I don't think
recreational drug over a performance-enhancing drug, and then
that's what I mean.
getting a 3 times stronger ban for a recreational drug as opposed to performance-enhancing. To me, the system is broken
it's not
for that.
Performance-enhancing at all.
So okay, that looks like it's the optics of the ramifications of what it says to the image of the sport, because obviously a PED, taking cocaine, in my view, will debilitate a fighter and create less of an opportunity to hurt his opponent, whereas taking a PED is the polar opposite of it. So why do you think that boxing gets up on its high horse about recreational drugs, which shouldn't be championed, but notwithstanding it, it's a lifestyle choice, it's not a performance-enhancing aspect to it. So why is boxing going hard and fast after that?
You bang on the money. They shouldn't be championed. I'm not championing them. But it happens. We're living in 2025, and you stand out now on a night out if you don't take cocaine half the time when I'm in clubs or pubs or bars, if I ever get out off the couch nowadays. And that's how it is, unfortunately. That's the culture of this generation. But it's not performance enhancing. When people are taking performance enhancing drugs, they're getting in a ring and they're going to end up killing someone. And they're walking away scot-free. That's where it doesn't sit right. I'm not championing drugs. And I think that's the thing. When boxers take drugs, you're a role model. And whether you like it or not, you've got kids looking up to you. So you should never sort of publicise that. But it's going to happen. And I'm not an advocate for it whatsoever. But if it happens and the fighter's not in camp, not in training, it shouldn't be any of the business of the testers, I think. I think what goes on behind closed doors when they're not fighting and they're not in training should stay that way.
I mean, the 4-year ban that you got, best part of 5 because of the period of time that evolved around it, could have been negated. I mean, we've seen Luke Traynor as an athlete get banned for 2 years because he admitted it. Do you expect, in your mind's eye, I know you won't be wishing this upon him, but do you expect Joseph Parker to get the same sort of ban that you got? No,
because I've had to go for years on telly watching these fighters what have tested positive for steroids. He's got 2-year ban, or he's got let off with Jared Miller had about 10 needles sticking out of his arm with that many different performance-enhancing drugs. Gets 6 months or something like that. I've had to watch all this, so I've become bulletproof. But I can honestly say, I'm glad I got my ban because it's made me the person I am.
Straightened you out, yeah. Let's move on to another subject matter, one that involves you in the conversation, Liam, obviously, which is Ben Whittaker, and Ben Whittaker returning to the ring on the weekend. When you look back on your dance partner, which was good for you in some respects, And slightly diminishing for him, because most people would have picked him to do a job on you in the first fight, and then they will say that he did it in the second fight. But when you look at the rematch, I mean, you would have gone in there. I spoke to you. You came on the show a couple of times. You were very articulate and very confident about your opportunity. Were you disappointed in the performance or the outcome? Well, obviously, the outcome was bloody obvious. You were disappointed in the outcome. But were you disappointed in your performance in the rematch?
Killed me, but what it is with me, you put a straight face on you. You say, like you said, am I going to win? And I said, I'll do my best.
Yeah.
And after I went off, you said, you don't seem confident.
Yeah.
I am. I have to say how I feel. And I was absolutely gutted, but I had to pretend I were all right.
What do you put the performance? I mean, was it Ben ascending to the level that we thought it was at, and that you got a bad Ben Whittaker in the first fight, and there's no credit there for you, right? Or was it just your second performance wasn't at the level that you anticipated it would have been?
Well, I watched Ben's 2 fights before me, the first fight, and he didn't perform, so I thought I had a big chance.
Yeah.
Went in there, guns blazing. Second fight, personal issue happened, what I can't really speak about.
Okay.
But when it comes out one day in a book or something, I'll do it. But for now, I can't. I had that going off, and he was just better on the night, a lot better.
What do you think of his power? We've had this debate repeatedly and seemingly endlessly about Ben Whittaker for someone that's only had 6 to 8 fights or whatever he's had. And obviously Ben's made a name for himself, and people are paying a lot of attention to him, and obviously winning a silver medal will get you that, but also because of the antics in the ring. But the big thing that constantly gets debated is whether he has the power, to deal with people later on in his career like Callum Smith, if Callum's still around when Ben Whittaker ascends to that level, or other fighters in that weight class. You've been in with him. The power.
It's very accurate.
Yeah.
And it's fast and his timing is good. So that weighs the power up. First fight, no power. Second fight, jab were like a right hand hitting you.
Right.
So it were weird. You see, but his timing, and he were accurate. Even in first fight, it were very accurate.
Do you think he has the toughness? Like, you know, you're talking about now his attributes, but do you think he has that mental toughness to be able to deal with it at another level?
But I'm going to give me praise. That fight was my turning point in that first fight.
Yeah.
I had to do everything. And from all trauma I've been through and stuff, I had to give it him that fight. So I was a man possessed that night.
I mean, obviously you had a win the other day against Troy Jones.
Yeah.
Where are you going next? What do you think is awaiting you in the future?
I phoned Lee. I've said make this Daniel Lappin fight.
Right.
6'6", southpaw, tricky.
Team
That excites me. I get to meet you.
Yeah,
Sick.
now.
To meet you, Sick.
I'm just rolling ball every time. I want to be in big fights. Don't matter who it is. Harder the better. And I want to test myself. I don't want easy fights.
Right. Good for you. Good for you. Ben Whittaker, if he was one of yours, Paul, I mean, we've seen him move to Matchroom. I don't know what the consensus of opinion is, if that's a good move for him or not. He's obviously got to go up levels now and start to illustrate that not only is there hype and style and charisma, but there's real substance. If he was under your guidance, Paul, what would you be doing with him?
I would personally like to see him do it the old school way. I'd like to see everyone do it the old school way, and British, Commonwealth, European, whatever he can try and do. But there's good fights out there for him. I think the Dan Aziz fight's a really good fight. But again, whether he's up for that just yet or not, I think it's a really good fight. Obviously Craig Richards, but then Lyndon Arthur's now European champion. If you want to fast track him, Lyndon Arthur's a good fight to choose, because Lyndon Arthur would be happy with the big payday.
Would you put Lyndon Arthur in?
Lyndon Arthur would
Ben
be very confident of beating Ben Whittaker, by the way.
That's my point.
And I think if you're ready for that step up, go for that step up. If not, there's plenty of names there in the top 20 in Britain that he can mix it up with. But there's no point in really sort of sending him out worldwide yet. Just keep him domestic at the moment. As you said before, we spoke a lot about him for 8-9 fights. Yeah. It's because of the amateur experience and the amateur pedigree, and then the fight with Liam, obviously the first fight, why we speak so much.
And the showboating and all that.
And the showboating, and he brings it on, but he backs it up most of the time in the ring, and there's one time that he hasn't, and he corrected that in the rematch with Liam, and I thought he looked very well, as Liam's just said. But again, it's not that there's not much of a rush, but take your time with him. Let the hoorah, whatever you want to call it, build up behind him as well, and then you've got a better product then to sell in the future.
I think the hype around him, though, that's the thing, isn't it? Because there's that hype around him, he's going to get fast-tracked.
And he is good,
and he calls it himself as well. He's a very good fighter,
He's a good fighter. The one thing is always going to be there with him, and he proved that in the second fight. But in the first fight, I saw a few question marks from him because of how it ended, because of how he reacted and how he acted. But then you saw the relief after he beat Liam in the second fight. The relief was there. You saw the human side of him. He actually is normal.
Because he took a pile on, didn't he? In terms of people questioning him. And I also liked, with Ben, the attitude of, I didn't come here to win a silver medal. A lot of people criticised him for that, and winning a silver medal at Olympics is a fundamentally great thing to achieve, but it ain't a gold, which was his attitude. And a lot of people felt there was an arrogant attitude. I thought it was the mentality of a winner. Do you think, having been in with him twice, Liam, do you think that we are looking at a future world champion? Do you think he wins a world title?
Do you know what? Only person what's going to beat Ben is himself, because he's got the promotion, he's got the backing, he's got everything there on the platform for him. So I really hope he can come and become a world champion.
Has he got the ability?
Yeah, definitely.
Has he got the toughness?
I think we'll find out.
He can build on it, 100%.
So would you tip him? Don't be diplomatic and pleasant while you're sitting on this show, because we're not a pleasant crew, right?
Anyone can win a world title. It's just that he's got these monsters in the division, hasn't he? Maybe when they go, who's next in line? Maybe
well, I mean,
your brother or someone who could box him.
Yeah, I have to say I would always be a Callum Smith picker in that fight all day, every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Moving on to another fight which is coming up, and we had the two boys in the studio the other day. We've got a British heavyweight title fight on the weekend in Derby on the BBC, Ben Shalom's new gig. Frazer Clarke against Jeamie TKV. But before we ruminate some more, let's hear from both the two fighters in the studio with me yesterday.
Let's see, if he talks a bit funny, he might have to get, you know.
Frazer, you going to talk a bit funny?
I'm a bit nervous now. Jeamie's saying he might put hands on me, so obviously I'm trembling now. But no, I'm just excited to be here. You prepare yourself for one date, and then you get some rubbish about some fake injury, and and then you know you have to reset. But
it was all going so nice.
Hey, Frazer,
I've got a good team, and we sorted that. It's no problem.
Frazer, no problem. But listen, don't crumble in person, because if you carry on talking, if you carry on talking funny, I'm gonna move to you right now.
Yeah. For me?
But I'll move to you right now.
Pack it in, Jeamie. It's just words. You'll deal with it on Saturday, won't you?
Yeah, no problem. I will deal with you on Saturday, but don't talk funny. Don't talk funny.
This potentially could be a good fight. I mean, how do you see it playing out, Paul?
I said when it was first made on BBC and it was going to clash with the date, it's got the potential, I hope it's not, but it's got the potential to be a stinker.
It does.
But it also has the potential to be a good fight if you come out and meet heads on. So things like that, I'm actually happy seeing, because I would like it to see it be a good fight. And I think, I'm not criticising Jeamie TKV, I'm definitely not after seeing the threat he's just give there, but Frazer will be the one trying hard to press and attack in that fight. And I think I can just see them just meeting, break, meeting, break, meeting, break. I hope it's a good fight. It's got the potential to be bad, but it's also got potential to be a really good fight, and I hope it is. It's a decent fight.
Well,
it's a great belt as well, the British heavyweight
Absolutely.
title.
It brought out a reaction from both fighters, this sort of, I think there was a bit of confected outrage, which then began to turn into genuine irritation. And then it brought out the comment from Frazer, which was, I'm going to knock you out. You know, I'm going to knock you out. And obviously Jeamie TKV said the same thing in response. What do you think of this fight, Liam?
Don't really know too much about this Jeamie TKV guy, but Frazer's been there from amateurs, and he's come back since that Saudi loss. I think Frazer's going to win, you know. He's destined to be a British champion, isn't he?
Do you know what? The mind games start from now, you know, in build-up to fights. And, you know, we're in this getting closer fight week and everything else. And if you're reading body language there, you go, that's getting to Jeamie TKV because he's the one biting, he's the one angry. Frazer knows how to play the game.
Frazer was poking.
Frazer did well,
taking the piss. And
absolutely.
You know, at the end of the interview, he said
he's very much in his comfort zone. So you go like, when you're reading into that, you go, right, Jeamie, you need to chill out a little bit here now.
I liked what he was saying, though, Spence. I
liked
liked what he was saying. What's the polite way to say I'm going to punch your head in? Because I want to. I want to punch your head in. I want you unconscious for 10 seconds only, but I'll just say it without getting the other fella's back up.
I know, I think Jeamie was actually referring to some other observations rather than... I mean, also at the end of the interview, or end of the conversation, Frazer was picking the legs off a bug to some extent with Jeamie, because he was saying, you know, I can leave the studio, because we said, shall we get people to separate you leaving, which is what Jim said to him. And he said, well, unlike other people, I'm emotionally mature, I can leave the studio without having to have a problem. And that's just provoking Jeamie, provoking Jeamie. What do you make? I mean, Frazer, to me, everyone likes Frazer. Everyone likes him personally. Everyone wants him to be successful because we all like Big Frazer.
Yeah.
Some of the performances up until, you know, the Bogdan Din fight, the Marius Wack fight, the David Allen fight. I mean, David Allen goes back to that fight and said everyone he quit. These weren't great performances from Frazer. The best performance from Frazer for me was the first fight against Wardley, and I think most of us then took Frazer to win the rematch. Now, Frazer got caught by a big shot, and obviously all the concern turned into Frazer's well-being, and he had a moment of thought process about what he was going to do. When you look at this situation surrounding Frazer, where do you think he's going to go, boys? I mean, as much as we might like him, and much as we might want him to be successful, and we can put the fight down to Fabio as one big punch, do we see Frazer operating on the world level?
Well, it's a great question, because you go back to that Marius Wack fight and you go, right, this guy here is made for you to look good, to show us, to go through the levels that you are at that level. He didn't. And so you go, is he going to be that guy that just can't transform into the professional ranks? And the first Fabio Wardley fight, he proved that he could.
Absolutely.
And he proved that he could go through those gears.
Absolutely.
And he could prove that he could come through those moments. You go, look, the return that they had out in Saudi, you know, when he got his jaw smashed, that's heavyweight boxing. It happened. He got caught by a shot, and unfortunately, you know, what happened. But he come back very well against Benavidez. So to answer your question, you go, I think he does have the ability to be able to maybe kick on.
Right.
But, you know, time will tell. I don't think this fight will tell us, by the way, because I think that Jeamie TKV's style, that if it's not going his way, if he's not getting on top of Frazer, you know, he'll make it ugly, because he's got the ability to be able to do that. So it's going to be difficult to judge Frazer if he comes through this fight against Jeamie on whether he can kick on to that next level. But I think this fight, you know, is a great opportunity for Jeamie TKV to, you know, catapult himself and springboard himself into the picture.
Do you think, I mean, I don't suppose we will know until such a point, because of the manner of the knockout with Frazer against Fabio Wardley, I mean, I made the observation that Anthony Joshua would suffer from PTSD, and it proved to be the case coming back against Daniel Dubois when somebody actually landed on him. Do you think there's a jeopardy for Frazer that when it comes on top, when someone lands a big shot with him, that it will take him back to that moment where he got knocked out by Fabio?
Absolutely.
Is that still a battle he's going to have in his mind?
It's not the knockout that he's got to deal with, Simon. I think the fact that his face got smashed, you know, because that is, I don't care what any fighter says, you go, that has got to be in the back of your mind.
Well, I'm asking for the fighter's mindset, because
that's what I'm saying.
Know.
No, absolutely. The answer is absolutely, categorically yes. That must have to come into his mind. If that fight's getting hard and he's getting whacked on the chin and whatnot, psychologically, that's going to have to, the demons will have to creep in, surely.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
First time I got caught, dropped.
Yeah.
It felt heavy. It wasn't heavy when I watched it back. I took a knee. I got put to my knee. I stood up and I remember looking at Victor Lockham thinking, why is he spinning? Like, why is he moving? It was me moving. I was caught. After that, there was always that little worry. Is my chin still there? Is you worry when you get caught?
Yeah. Right.
And it was. The shot was perfect. I got hit well harder since and well harder before.
Yeah. Just a quick one. Who wins the fight?
Frazer.
I think Frazer.
Yeah, me too. Right, that's it for episode 148 of Talk Boxing. Thank you, Spence. Thank you, Paul. And thank you for joining us, Liam. And we'll see you guys next time we're out, which will be next week.